Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari Das, and today I want to talk about an interesting topic that one of my students came up with, which is this idea of harmonizing body and soul. What does that mean? So to put it in the words that my student presented it to me, sometimes we have this let's say, materialistic, a body consciousness, where we're just thinking of material things. We just want to have, the comfort and the money and the status and the house and the car and the phone, just like the material stuff. And then sometimes we're thinking, no, spiritual, I'm not from here. I'm not, part of this material world. I must just go back home, back to Godhead. I must, return to my transcendental abode. I must get out of here. So she says, I have this conflict, sometimes I'm this, sometimes I'm that. But I thought that was really interesting comment, because what we actually have to do, and this is a very common mistake in the world where people have this division, this idea there are two different things. I have a material life, I have a spiritual life. And actually we see that very common mistake in all religions, in all spiritual paths all over the world throughout time. So even Arjuna in the Bhagavad-gita manifests this doubt. So this is a very classic eternal doubt we have. But the answer the Bhagavad-gita gives, the answer that Krishna gives us is brilliant. Is what makes me so attracted to this path of yoga. Is that you must not think of it as two separate things. You must harmonize body and soul. You must see your transcendental soul self, your spiritual, your true Atman self, and your material life as one thing. You must be joined in focus in one thing. What does that mean? So this is what Bhagavad-gita is teaching us. Bhagavad-gita says, look, you're here, you're incarnate, and you have responsibilities. You have things that define you. These things that define you are your purposes. I love this idea of dharma. This is the word in Sanskrit is dharma. So dharma is what defines you. For example, simple explanation my teacher uses a lot. The dharma of water is to be transparent and liquid. If it's not transparent and liquid, then it's not water. It could be water with something else. If it's frozen, then we call it ice. If it's steam, then, if it's a gas, we call it steam. It's not water. So water is liquid and transparent. So to be water, it has to do those things. And we're like that. So the dharma of water is to be there. But then what is your dharma? You have a definition, what you are. So for example, I'm a father. I've had children. So if I have children, I am a father. So to be a father, there's things I must do. I have to realize the purpose of the dharma of being a father. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do, right? Take care of your kids and nurture them, all that stuff. So I have to do those dharmas. I have to do those activities, which will then fulfill the definition of who I am. In this case, in this aspect of me, father. And then I'm also a teacher. I'm here teaching, the yoga path. So to do that, there's things I have to perform, actions I have to, like recording this video. If I don't do this, then I'm not living my purpose as a teacher, my dharma. I'm not doing this. And if I don't do that, then I'm not gonna be me. I'm not gonna be myself if I don't realize this purpose, this dharma of these things. So then you're seeing here how I'm now taking the things of life, the dharmas of my life. I just mentioned two of them. There are more, of course. I have to take care of myself. I have to exercise. I have to sleep. That's one type of dharma. I have like community dharma. I have to be good with my neighbors, pay my taxes, So anyway, you can study about that in my 7 dharmas, 7 chakra work in my 3T Path book and in videos here in this channel. So we have all these categories of purposes and dharmas. So those things are very much of the material world. Right? We're talking about things here, right? We're talking about neighbors, we're talking about work, we're talking about taking care of our body, exercise, sleep, eating. Very much here, very much of the body. But I'm doing those things as an offering to Krishna. That's why Krishna makes this beautiful connection. That's how yoga connects the world with the transcendental world, with God. So you do your things, and Krishna says, simply, whatever you do, do that as an offering unto me. So then you do your things, and that is your loving offering to Krishna, to God. You're doing those things in spiritual awareness that you're not your body, but you're doing those things for the pleasure of God, because that's how you can please God now. That's the beautiful message of Bhagavad-gita, that the way you're going to please God is not by fighting off reality, the reality that you're here incarnated, that you're here in society, that you have children, that you have parents, that you have to work, you have to eat, you have to clean yourself, you have to exercise, sleep. It's not to fight the obvious, the reality. You don't fight it. No, you embrace it. And you make that as your love, not because you need it, not because you're thinking of the result. This is the key, the key detail, that you're not doing it as a materialist thinking of the result, but you're doing the action in the here and now as a loving offering in bhakti. That is your offering to Krishna. Very important concept. So in yoga, we're harmonizing body and soul, and it's the only way to be happy. Because if you're just focused on body, on the material things, you're bound to fall into anxiety and frustration, because matter just doesn't satisfy the soul. You never know what's going to happen. You're scared, you're envious. It's like all these horrible things if you're just focused on the body. And if you're just focused on soul, then you're confused, you're lost, you don't know how to live, you feel unconnected and unrooted, you're lost, you're just like a dreamer. It doesn't work either. It's only when you harmonize body and soul that you get the full, complete experience, the best experience you can give yourself for this life. Let me know if this makes sense. Leave your questions below if there are any questions, and have your rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.